Oh, it's good stuff. That's good stuff. Um, if you are a guest with us this morning, it's going to be a totally different service than normal. I apologize, but I don't apologize at the same time. Um, we just got back earlier. I don't even remember what day anymore. Thursday. We got back Thursday. Thank you. So we just got back from CIY Move. So we spent a week with high school students in Glorieta, New Mexico. It was an incredible week, and it's always good. This is the sixth CIY Move that I've gone to since I've been here, and it's always good to get away, to get in touch with God, and just to spend time. For instance, at Glorieta, we were surrounded by about 1,400 other students. That our goal when we go there is to get closer to God. That's like the whole priority, and so it's great when you do that. But then we have to come home, and so we're home. And I would just encourage you in this, if you would keep praying for these guys and all of our students, because 1,400 students who are seeking Jesus is a great place to be. Back home, that's not necessarily always in fact, I said in the first service, I think it might be 1,400 people who are pretty apathetic to Jesus. In a lot of cases, that's what happens. When we just get away from that environment, it's hard. We get back into old habits and old things, and surrounded by people who aren't on fire for Jesus, and that's a challenge. And we've seen it already, whether it's just the fallen world or whether it's Satan, who hated the week that we had because it was awesome, and he's going to do things to mess with that. But we've had a student that got called into work, so she won't be able to share. She was going to share today. We had a student who was sick today, so she texted me early this morning. She's not going to be able to share as well. So just things are happening, and challenges happen, and that's the world. But I think you can recognize us by our green Move shirts, all of us that went. Move is what CIY calls their high school event, Move. And we do a lot of moving, a lot of everything going on, as you can see by the video. But I think the premise behind it is that we move closer to God. Like in wherever we're at in our walk, we're no longer there, we're closer. We moved. And so just praying that there was incredible movement. God really worked in amazing ways. And I'm going to have some folks share here with you in just a second. But just pray that we keep moving in the same direction, that we keep moving closer to God. And I would also just encourage and pray that for you as well. No matter where you're at in your walk, no matter where you are in relation to Jesus, and God would move us closer to him. So I'm going to have some folks share. We have some of them that won't be able to share just because of different circumstances, but that's all right. We took 19 students and 6 leaders went with me to Glorieta, New Mexico for an incredible week. The first person that I'm going to have share is Dina Betts. She is a small group leader. And also, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but we had a couple dates, apparently. I don't know where that came from. The girls did that. I don't know the story behind it, but I think they went well. I don't know.
The older girls, so this year I'll have junior and senior girls, and so I had 4 girls. And I feel like there's a picture in that slideshow that needs to be explained because we got rained out on a plan that we had. Our first day we were there early, and our plans got rained out, so we had to go to Plan B, which included Goodwill, $10, 30 minutes, and a partner. And so there was a picture in there where we all dressed a little funny, but there was a talent show where that's acceptable, and so we all fit in that, but that was a fun little challenge that we did to substitute for our rain out. But I had a parent ask me some questions once about sending their kiddo to CIY, and I told him, I said, they won't come back the same. And I feel like that's true, and that was true for that student because he came back on fire for Christ and was really living out his faith. And CIY does that to us all. It's kind of a give and take when you go, and when we go, we take a lot of baggage with us. We take hurt that's happened from friends and family. We take forgiveness that hasn't been given. We take painful situations that we're holding on to. And this year, I think we took a lot of high walls and hard hearts of just that. I know that these guys are teenagers, but a lot of stuff, hard stuff has happened in their lives. And that all came with us. But we were also asked tough questions while we were there. And some of those questions are you dangerously lost? And will you let yourself be found? How did I get here? We talked about Jesus in the country of Samaria and how the Jews of that age avoided that country. And so the question was posed, is there some area in your life you're avoiding? Will you be you for the glory of God? And they also made us think about living out our faith and stating things more like the more you compare, the less your joy. So stop looking around and look up. We often work around the places God wants us to work through. Every time we take a side, we divide. I feel like that's really, really pertinent to our situation in our time today, in our world. There's so much division. I thought that was a really good point to make to our kids and to us leaders as well. People may never read the Bible, but they will read your life. And we are not just saved people, we are sent people. And so as we were sent off and I reflect on what God did over this week, I couldn't help but tear up. God answered many of your prayers, and thank you so much for those of you who prayed for us while we were there. We definitely felt them. While we were there, we witnessed our walls come down. Forgiveness was a big thing. We had a whole night dedicated to forgiveness, which was super difficult for us to work through. I think even leaders work through some forgiveness issues. There was a lot of weight left at CIY through that. Friendships were made, a family was born, and a prodigal came home. We will forever remember the summer when we met God in New Mexico, and He forever changed our life and sent us out to do the same for someone else.
So the next person who's going to share, also a small group leader, and in fact worked with Dina together with that group, is Allie Betts. I gave her a hard time because she graduated a couple years ago. She's actually been an adult volunteer leader for 2 years at CIY, but sometimes I question whether or not she's an adult volunteer. I'm just kidding.
Despite my parents, I got to lead some wonderful girls in my small group, and I got to make some pretty awesome connections with all the people there. I think that God did amazing work through these students. I came in expecting God to use me to change these kids' lives, and I was excited for that. God surprised me, and He helped them change my life as well. It's amazing what God is doing and can do and will do through these kids. And I'm just very thankful for your guys' prayers and assistance with money. You guys are also making a difference in these kids' lives, so I just want to encourage you to continue to do that. And I want to encourage you guys to keep pursuing what God has started. He will do a good work in you, and I'm so proud of all of you guys. Thank you.
So I had a late minute addition to our speakers here. Sawyer Zimmer came up to me in between services and said, "Hey, I'd like to share." After hearing everybody share, he's like, they shared all that, they shared a lot of good stuff about, messages and how God was working. He's like, I think I could talk for like 5 hours about the fun. Is that okay? So we're going to put Sawyer on a time limit, but not 5 hours, but we'll let him get up and share with you guys.
All right, so I'm not just gonna talk about like all the fun stuff. I want to talk about like some of the things that that happened to me while I was at CIY. So my favorite part about CIY was the worship, because like we had a morning service and an afternoon service, and most of the services were pretty cool. We had a really good band, and most of the time we had basically a front row seat to it, so it was pretty nice. But while I was at CIY, it I don't know, it just changed me in a way that I can't really explain. Like, God did some amazing work in me, and I don't know, but I made some really good connections. My first really good connection was with Tom. Tom really changed my life in CIY. We were worshiping one night, and I don't know what hit me. It was a really deep moment for me, I guess, and I started crying. And Tom was the first person that came over to me and started comforting me and started praying for me and stuff. And I just really thank him for that. And then the next person was Doug. We had this rule at CIY, which was we had a buddy system. You always had to walk around with a buddy everywhere you went, because there was a lot of people there, and Doug didn't want me getting eaten by a bear, so he wanted me with someone at all times. So he was my walking buddy. But anyway, Doug, we had these rules also, so we all came up with a rule that we were gonna that we tried to follow at CIY. Mine was trying to make friendships with everybody, which I felt like I did a pretty good job at. And also, but Doug's was, he wants to listen more instead of talking so much. And I feel like he did a really good job, because we'd always walk and he'd always just sit there and listen to me as I talked to him about different stuff and how fun CIY was and stuff. So I really appreciate him, was willing to listen to me and stuff. Anyway, fun stuff, yeah. Okay, the first day we got there, it was all right. We built tables. It wasn't the greatest thing, I guess, but it was all right. But second day, it was pretty rainy most of the time. But we went swimming at the lake when it was 50-degree water. Felt great. But anyway, this lake, it had all these slides and stuff. Mr. Slate was the highlight. Yes, sir. He went down this. They were these huge water slides, and I don't know how they convinced him to do it, but he did it, and it was pretty cool. There was zip lines. I didn't go zip line because I'm terrified of heights, so that wasn't my thing. But it looked pretty cool, but I didn't do it. What else did we do? Shoot. Give me a second. Okay. We also. Oh yeah, they had these things. They were I really can't explain it. They were I don't know. Oh yeah, mini golf. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. All right, so we did mini golf, right? Okay, so there was a few pictures up there, but mini golf. Okay, so it rained the whole time. So when we played mini golf, we were playing mini golf in the rain, and all the holes were just completely flooded. So when we were playing mini golf, you couldn't hit the ball without it going in the water, and we were always splashing each other. It was fun. And we didn't have money to buy golf balls, so we just kind of walked around the whole time until we found a golf ball to use. So yeah, that was pretty fun. What else did we do? Oh, lunch. That was pretty weird. But okay, so there was this lunch. Okay, and they had these poker chips, and you had to I don't know, it was weird, but you had these poker chips, and you had to walk through this line and stuff and put the poker chips in a bowl, and they gave you the tray. One time I saw this group leader. He was dead sprinting to the lunch line with a poker chip, and he was a group leader, and I was calm down, bud. Okay. But like I said, CIY changed me. It was really fun, and I want to talk about the dorm rooms. Okay, so the rooms that we had were not very good. You should have seen the girls' rooms compared to our rooms. Our rooms were a 10 by 12 foot room, and it had 2 bunk beds, and there was 5 guys in this room. So we just snatched a bed from the leader's room, and Asher just slept on the floor. So yeah, but anyway, it was in the shower, it was as wide as your wingspan, so there was no room at all. anyway, but like CIY changed me a lot. I really appreciate the people that I went with because they were all really nice and caring to me, and that's really nice. Jackson helped me a lot also. Jackson was there for me the whole time, and I really appreciate that from him. Thank you.
So you guys, if you have more questions, you should just visit with Sawyer after the service. He will he'll inform you of all kinds of stuff. It was good. Thanks, Sawyer. The next person I'm going to have is Julia Raby. So Julia went as a small group leader to a different group of girls from Dina and Allie, but it was her first time going to CIY Move.
So it was my first time to be a small group leader at camp, but it was not my first time to go to Glorieta. So when I was a teenager, I went with my youth group from Dallas, Texas, to a camp in Glorieta. So that was really neat to get back on that campus and see the things I could remember. As I did the math, I realized it was a lot of years since I had been there. So it was like 26 years somehow since I was a freshman in high school. And so I was so blessed to be able to take 10 of our freshmen and soon to be sophomore girls along with our group to CIY. During Fusion, on Wednesday nights, Doug and Dina do a great job of talking about what CIY is and how important it is. And the church as a whole, I just want to thank you all so much for your support of going to camp and also just promoting it and just financially and prayerfully supporting it. The kids are so blessed to have so many people in their community cheering them on to make these great decisions. And so I really appreciate the girls, missing out on things like summer league, work, a lot of commitments that they have at home, and just kind of putting that all aside and going on this trip. And we just had an awesome time. We had a lot of great connections, a lot of great friendships. Just grew. We have a wonderful small group on Wednesday nights. I would say we have the best one, probably, right, girls? In our opinion. And so we have amazing girls that are so faithful to put their faith as a priority in their life. And I see God using that in their in their relationships, in their families, in their community. And so I'm very, very proud of them. One of the things we had to do at CIY was meet with our small group, which I thought was really great, that we could kind of build on that. And so one of the scriptures that I want to read to you guys that we were given at the beginning was Ephesians 4, 1 through 6. I, therefore, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to the one hope that belongs to your call. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. And those scriptures really led us on choosing words for our group and how we were going to engage through the week. And so our girls picked 3 words, and I'll share those with you guys. It was unity, encouragement, and honesty. And I was really proud of them for honoring those words when we had conversations. I think a lot of times it's hard in a small town to be completely honest about what's going on inside of you. I think people feel they're going to be judged, or they also feel like people already know their story, and that's just not true. A lot of times your story coming from you is so impactful and different than what other people might say about you. And so I was really proud of the girls for being open and honest and encouraging each other, just like adults even, but a lot of times teenage girls who struggle with self-worth and who am I and why do I matter. And our girls really got honest and real about that darkness that's inside of you sometimes. And when you get that out, all of the girls just came around each other and encouraged each other, which is a beautiful thing to see. And so we were also blessed with a baptism. You saw in the video I got to baptize someone. I'm actually raised Baptist, so I've never baptized a person. We was excited, though, to be able to have a small group connection and be able to do that. And Kaylin Prohaska decided to be baptized in the lake, and it was really cold and it was raining. But I thought we did a little more gracefully than Dina and Karis. But we learned from their mistakes. They were a little shallow there. So that was an amazing moment, just to see her come out of that water, and to know what action steps she's taking to be closer in her relationship with God. And we have several girls through Fusion that have also taken that step of baptism. And I can see it in their life and their desire to serve God and to do what he's calling them to do. So I just want to thank you guys again so much for your support, and we had a great trip, so glad to be home.
All right, the next guy I'm going to have up, Mr. Tom. Tom not only was small group leader for guys, he also was the co-pilot. And I just want to say, I don't know, I thought Tom was about 28. We had some discussion. He's a little bit older than I thought, but I just want to just encourage him, because age is just a number, and it's awesome to hear Sawyer talk about the impact and the investment and how Tom made a difference in his life by being there. So I guess I want to encourage, it doesn't matter what age you are. I'm pretty sure we had the widest dynamic of ages of youth leaders, because we had however old Tom may be, and then our youngest turns 20 tomorrow, actually. So Tom Maxwell will share with you.
Well, first of all, I've been called the oldest teenager in Mitchell County, and it's probably true. But the first thing I would like to do is to thank you, the church family. Without your help, without your financial support, without your love, without your prayers, this could never take place. And I really, really appreciate the opportunity to get to spend a week with a great, great group of teenagers and above, the leaders. We had no incidents with our kids whatsoever. Now, there were some out there that I got close to being sent home. The kids, for some things they were doing. But we had nothing like that. I'm the only one that had an incident. And in case you weren't aware of it, I wound up in the emergency room. And it all happened the morning we were putting tables together. And like Doug said, I forgot that my age was what it is, and I was going too fast and not used to the altitude and the heat. That morning was really bad. But anyway, Donna Pontier, bless her heart, she said, she took one look at me and said, "You're going to the emergency room." I said, "I don't need the emergency." She said, "You're going to the emergency room." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And while I was there, I could feel the prayers of those young kids. And to me, it's a blessing, and I still do not understand the thing God is doing that connects those kids that are probably, I have grandkids way older than they are, but they connect to me, and that feels, they're wonderful. They're like my grandkids, and I love every one of them. But once again, thank you for your support to make it happen. And by the way, I'm living proof you're never too old to get in and help the teenagers. Thank you.
All right, and now Jeff Slate, Mr. Slate was he was our bus driver. He was also small group leader, but he also became Grandpa Jeff at CIY. So, yeah, there we go.
So you've heard all about what we did there. What I would like to do is thank Doug. Doug planned a lot of stuff, put a lot of time in, made our trip great, prepared us throughout the year. I think that's what made us so successful while we were at CIY this year. I can tell you, and I think everybody will agree, the kids represented themselves well. They represented our youth group well, they represented our church well, and they represented Beloit well. And they are to be commended for that. Now I'd like to talk about sacrifice. We all sacrificed something for this trip, all for the glory of God. The kids sacrificed their time. They took the time to come and grow closer to God. Us leaders sacrificed our time. We could be doing a lot of other things. We missed out on stuff. We missed out on work. We missed out on family. I missed out on the birth of my first granddaughter, but I can tell you it was all worth it. And the sacrifice for the glory of God is worth it. And I've been to CIY several times, and I'm truly blessed every time I come back for that time. Now, a little personal testimony on sacrifice. So when I was a teenager growing up, Will Hutchie, sitting right there, poured into me. And it means a lot to me. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wouldn't be for Will Hutchie. He poured into me, and it means a lot. He sacrificed his time, his talents, and his gifts so that I today can stand up here and give back to the youth, and hopefully do as good a job as he did, and all for the glory of God. So I want to thank all of you and encourage you to use your time, gifts, and talents to help each other and help the youth. Doug's always talking about we could use more volunteers, we could use more help, so you all have something that you can give back, whether that's financially, which you've done a great job at doing, whether that's with your time or your talent. I would encourage all of you to help, give back, and give it all to the glory of God. Thank you.
Man, you guys are awesome. I just agree with everything that everybody said. Yeah, I want to just kind of take a moment because I think what Jeff kind of said there at the end. I'm actually, I don't know how Will feels. I'm kind of glad that you named him, because I think every one of us as adults can probably think back in our life and say, that person made a difference. That person invested in me. That person took time to care and to listen, and that makes all the difference. I've heard it said before. People have said to me, the youth are the future of the church, and I disagree. I used to have a leader back in my old church that would say that all the time, and I always correct him. And no, they are the church. They are the church now, and so I want to encourage you to invest in the youth, to invest in the children, and it'll make a difference. I love hearing that testimony, Jeff. Thanks, but I love so much hearing from all of you guys. Good stuff. So I want to have you guys who went just stand up for a second. So this is our group, and obviously July 4th weekend, not the best weekend for all of this, and others had things going on that they had prior commitments to, and like I said, being sick, called into work, and different things. But here's some of the students. I I just want to thank you again for the sacrifice that was mentioned, what you guys did, willing to spend a week away from things to invest in your relationship with Jesus. And it was awesome to me to see, I think this has never happened that I'm aware of at a Move before. Like, I saw God in every single student of ours that was there. I saw God work in some way in every one of them, and it blew me away. Their willingness to serve, their willingness to encourage one another, and the environment was better, but there were still some challenges in that environment also, and they did amazing. So I just want to thank you guys. Okay, you guys can have a seat. The next people, though, that I would like to stand up. Each year, I invite people to be a prayer partner for a specific student. And I know many people say, well, I'm just praying for all of them. And that's fantastic, and I love it. But I think when you pray specifically for a student by name and you invest time, and I think the ability to connect, I loved when Kaylin was struggling with deciding to get baptized because she'd actually talked about it at Fusion last year and then decided not to. And then as Satan works and the world works, she was afraid that I would be mad because she decided not to, and so she quit coming to Fusion for the rest of the year. Actually, that was last year, and then she came back at the beginning of this year. But that's how Satan works in our minds. But when she finally decided at Move that she wanted to get baptized, I was really excited. So I went back, I got my phone, and I was texting her prayer partner, and her prayer partner replied to me, yeah, she already texted me and told me. I'm like, yes, that's the connection. That's what I want to see. They are the church. We are the church. And so it's so awesome to be able to see those intergenerational connections, to see folks like Tom investing. And he's wondering why these kids, care, why it matters. It matters because he took time. He takes his energy, his effort, and he invests in them. And when a student realizes I've said this before, they don't care what you know until they know you care. And I think that's the bottom line. We can know everything about Jesus, but a student isn't going to want to hear us beat them upside the head until they know that we truly care about their heart and their soul and where that will go. So I want to have all of you who were prayer partners, if you are a prayer partner specifically for a student, would you want to stand up? Do we have a few of those? Yeah, all right. Thank you. Thank you, because your prayers made a difference, no doubt, as did all of ours, but I loved your willingness to connect. We had some students who went out on the trip with a bag of goodies that they got from their prayer partner. I was a little jealous. I need to have a prayer partner for me, if that's how it works. Come on. But it was awesome. So I was trying to decide whether or not we have enough time, or we're going to go ahead and do this. So I have a worship song that we sang, and I talked to the students. There's about 5 or 6 that they really liked. So I narrowed it down to one. But I have one worship song that I picked out that we're going to do, and I know that the praise team has a final worship song that they want to do. But if you guys would, and you can set however you want to worship, that's kind of how we roll. But I have one worship song, so if you'd like to join us as we worship this song, Firm Foundation. Amen. Let's go. Woo! All right, sorry. Not sorry. Let me pray. And the praise band can come up, but man, so encouraging. He's faithful through generations. He won't fail. Trust God. Let's pray. As this closing song is happening, if you would like to pray, Pastor Dave and myself will be available at the doors. We'd love to pray with you. Let's go to God. Oh, dear God, thank you so much for this church. Thank you so much for the people that make it up. Thank you so much for the folks that you put in our lives, that you have surrounded us with. Lord, I just pray that we would see you and in them and be you in our lives. So, Lord, I just pray for encouragement for each one of us to lean in and to trust you, because you will not fail us. You never have, and you never will. Times may get dark, and they may get rough, and they may be difficult, but you will not fail us. So, Lord, we're so thankful. We love you, and we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.